Hi, welcome to France Travel Couple. I'm James.
I'm Tracy.
And today we're going to talk to you about one of our favorite topics, the food we experienced as we traveled all the way through France. So, what we're going to review are the breakfasts that we had in France, which will cover off some great bakeries, great cafes, boulangeries, and give you a big coffee tip in there. We're going to talk about how we had some cheap lunches in France that are still very delicious. We're going to talk about the farmers markets there that we saw. As well, where you can get some really good quality local produce in each regions you're in. Talk about something that we saw is really important and really valuable to enriching the experience, which is eating locally in France. We'll talk about a few of the particular local foods that we enjoyed, and then we're going to cover off some kind of traditional French meals that we had, and really try to hit a lot of the kind of ones that you had heard about there. So we'll cover a bunch of those off. First off, though, I'll hand it over to Tracy to talk a bit about the breakfast that we enjoyed.
So, there's so much to talk about with regards to food in France, but starting off with the breakfast. Traditionally in France, breakfast is usually a coffee with a pastry. They have very small breakfasts, unlike traditional Canadian or American style big breakfasts. So, we would often have just coffee, a croissant au beurre, which is a butter croissant, or you could get a pain au chocolat, which is who doesn't like chocolate for breakfast, so chocolate croissant. Pretty much wherever we went, you can do that. For coffee, you should ask for a café allongé. That's the most familiar way to basically enjoy.
For us, I mean, some people just like pure espresso, but I think for us, for the kind of coffee that we're used to a bit more, the Café Allongé.
Yeah, you don't really find drip coffee there, filter coffee there. So, your Café Allongé is basically an Americano. So, we quite enjoyed that. The cafes come in different shapes and sizes, so they would have similar themes. Some would have be full-on boulangerie or patisserie, and others were more simple. If you're in Paris specifically, our favorite cafe near the Père Lachaise cemetery site, we recommend Boulangerie Unissi. Unissi. So Ounissi. And that's where we went every morning pretty much during our stay there. And they had the freshest, most delicious croissants and the best coffee that you can ever imagine.
A nice baguette that you
we had some lovely baguettes.
Later in the day.
And a salad we had another day. So a big coffee tip. So try only to choose a cafe that has a real espresso machine set up. Just because if you're in France, it doesn't mean that you're actually going to get that real espresso. Some cafes will serve you coffee from what it seems like might be a Keurig or something like that, and you're going to pay the same price. So why would you?
Yeah,
so
it's a big difference in quality.
Yeah, and it's a big difference. Yeah. So if you should specifically look for those cafes, because we made that mistake a couple times. We went to a couple places where they're actually primarily just a bakery, a boulangerie, and their coffee was and it was because it was from a Keurig versus a real good
Take the time
machine.
to find the cafe with a real espresso machine.
Yeah.
You'll know. So let's talk now about some cheap and delicious lunches that we had. And even this food that we're going to talk about, we have for dinner at least one time, I think maybe more than once, because it just works and it's so classic French and convenient to do. So at the discount supermarkets, we managed to get to Lidl's and Aldi's a lot. Those are two we search for quite regularly. They're great value if you don't know them. But we're able to search and buy a lot of ingredients there. They still have a lot of good kind of local ingredients there. So the main staples that we would get for our lunches through France: baguette. Sometimes we'd splurge and get it at a boulangerie, and it costs more. Yeah. It will be a bit fresher there, the difference in cost can be, it's there, about €1 at a boulangerie versus, I think as low as
30 cents.
30 cents in Lidl or Aldi. On top of what we're going to put in the baguette, we put some kind of meat, some sort of charcuterie. It's often cured pork or beef product, like a sausage or a terrine, which we got a taste for. These are easy to eat out in a picnic setting with the baguette. And of course, we also always added some cheese. And this is where I want to get in and talk a bit about local. So wherever you are in France, I recommend and we enjoyed cheeses that were local to the region. So, for example, we had Camembert. We actually got to have some raw Camembert, which is cool because we were in Normandy. That's where it was, and it's very particular to the region. We had goat cheese in the Loire Valley, which is also particular to their Roquefort in the south of France. We had some there. Really. But
particularly, I'd advise, for us anyway, if you really enjoy cheese and are not afraid of some flavor in your cheese, that the raw cheeses make a difference.
Yeah, they're good.
In North America, if you buy Camembert cheese at the grocery store or wherever, it doesn't have a ton of flavor. But if you buy a raw Camembert, it's distinctive. It tastes, it has a smell, obviously, but it is absolutely amazing. So I would definitely recommend where you can to buy raw cheeses.
Right. So, of course, on top of the food, we also had to add something to drink whenever we had these lunches and these picnics. We managed to get a bottle of wine pretty much wherever we were to enjoy with it. Except in Normandy where we actually went with cider because it's so particular to the region actually there. But with these choices, we also tried where we could to be local as well, where it made sense. We'll cover French wines actually in another video, so be sure to check out all the wines we enjoyed in France after you watch this video. So we often try as well when we had these lunches to get some vegetables in there. We knew we couldn't just survive on
bread and cheese.
Bread and cheese and meat alone. No. So maybe got a little salad with it from Lidl or some fruit. Got that in as well. Just that it would help with digestion. So now there's also, in addition to the supermarkets, there are some fantastic local farmers markets that are worth checking out. There's one in Caen that's very well renowned in Normandy region. We managed to get to one in Carcassonne actually.
Carcassonne.
That was quite nice. It filled up the entire square there, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting how empty it can be when it's not going on and how just jam-packed with vendors and people looking to buy things. So it's a cool experience to go to a market in France or in a lot of European countries, but in France in particular, it's really cool and some fantastic local ingredients there.
Yeah.
But,
there's one in Beaune.
In Bonn, yes, there's one too we went to. Yeah, it's a little smaller in scale, I would say, but there's still some local producers there. I think we got some local meats there.
And olives.
And olives, yeah. So now, because largely our expenditures for all these lunches, a lot of meals over the course of time. And again, sometimes we even had dinners because it wasn't convenient for us after a long day of sightseeing. And we chose wisely what to buy. We weren't buying the priciest items because there's a lot of good quality, lower end actually when it comes to food. Our bills were not that huge, so really, I think I'm showing you some of these bills right now. They're not that big, and some of these bills actually managed to get us through 2-3 days almost of food in terms of the quantity there. So, it's a really smart way to keep your overall food budget over the course of a trip reasonable. And France is a great place to do that because you get some really authentic kind of tasting experiences with the cheese and meats and baguette, obviously. So.
But you should know that too. We just didn't eat that. I mean, we did have some splurgy meals out as well.
Yeah,
so I think
we'll get to some of those restaurant meals, here. But that for lunches, a lot of times, that's what we did.
Yeah.
So on the theme, kind of eating locally in France, why don't you talk about a couple other things that we got that were particularly local?
Sure. For us, it was important to experience what was native to that region, so to speak. So galettes and crepes, which were Normandy for us because that's where we're going, but traditionally it's also Brittany. If you're traveling to the Brittany region, absolutely try the galettes and crepes. Absolutely incredible. Galette, the difference between a galette and crepe is that a galette is made from buckwheat and it's more of a savory meal versus a crepe is usually a sweet with either just sugar or some fruit or ingredients that you would use for a dessert. We enjoyed a real taste of Normandy for brunch, a galette that you had with camembert cream, local apples, and then you had local cider to drink, which was pretty delicious. And then I had a more traditional galette with egg and cheese and ham in there. So, but absolutely delicious. So if you're in Cannes, where we were and where we had that meal. You should try the restaurant called Le Grenier à Crepes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that...
Yeah, check out all the links.
Yeah.
I'm going to put all the links down to the restaurants that we recommend actually down below in the notes. So.
And we also had some just simple traditional butter and sugar crepes, which were as a dessert.
Always nice, relatively cheap. Yeah. It's
delicious.
hard to curve those up, so they're nice pack for dessert.
You can talk about your favorite there.
Well, in one of the other most memorable local dining experiences in particular, we knew I had it on my list as a dish because we had watched some videos online and knew that there was a particular dish to the southern region of France. And when we got to the small city of Carcassonne in the south of France, which is just sort of between Bordeaux and I guess Avignon, somewhere in the middle of the country, in the south part, really, cassoulet is a dish that you'll see highlighted, and it's almost on every French restaurant's menu in the city of Carcassonne. It was funny. It's a baked dish with white beans, kind of base broth, a light amount of spices in there, often chunks of duck inside, very tasty. And also, it's usually topped with a pork sausage as well. So it's a simple,
so low-cal. Yeah.
It's a bit delicious. It's kind of it's a simple but really delicious.
It's a hearty comfort food.
Yeah. And we had ours at restaurant Le Tripalou in Carcassonne, which is not far from the beautiful La Cité walled city that still exists there. So highly recommend that restaurant. It's well rated on TripAdvisor. That's why we went there. Not too pricey though. So
no, it was quite good.
Yeah. So there's a number of other classic French meals that we got to talk about that we may not have had local in any particular city, but we had them in France overall.
Yeah.
And it's kind of some of the ones I definitely want to have an experience. And I think you want to try some too that were really unique to the country. So,
sure. So one was rabbit terrine, which was quite unique. We had it at a little wine bar in Paris called Le Baron Rouge, and it was made locally. So the owner of the bar recommended to us, and not something that I would normally eat, but it was quite lovely, and it went really well with some baguette and wine there. One of your favorites, escargot, in garlic butter and parsley, followed by your veal escalope, your veal scallopini, with I had the large salad, which was called a salad des fabricants, with lardon, which is kind of like bacon, and lots of cheese. So that was at a restaurant in Paris that we really enjoyed called Les Fabricants. Do you want to talk about the steak tartare?
I managed to get steak tartare, something I had on my list. I knew, classic French food there. Kind of scary to eat raw beef, but it worked out. It was good. And at that same meal, actually, you had duck confit, also another classic French dish, really juicy, tasty, well cooked. And we had a surprise little restaurant. It was a rainy day in Amboise in Loire Valley when we were there, and we stopped into this little restaurant, kind of modern looking, called L'Ambatia. And really, surprisingly quite good and decent value there. And I've got a picture there that you should see the flooring there, by the way. It looks like hardwood. It was carpet. I was literally floored. So another really, typical French dish, but delicious. I had some foie gras.
Not my favorite, but you really enjoy it.
I did. Very rich tasting, as you expect. Followed that up with a little less typical duck dish, but duck dishes are very common in France. And had it was a duck shepherd's pie. I remember it cooked in a glass container, glass jar. And it was finished. After that, we had a couple of really classic French desserts. I had an apple tatin. And you had the creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
Yes. That was quite...
super delicious.
Sugary.
Sugary and creamy and everything you could imagine.
Yeah, this was at we had this in actually Bordeaux, this experience. And it was at a really classy but good value restaurant there.
Yeah, small restaurant,
And it was called Restaurant Melody. So I'll link to that below as well. Another thing that we saw on the menu... I wanted to try frog's legs. So had the frog legs for an appetizer. They're okay.
They were okay.
I think they're a little, I had it once. I don't think it's a must-have, to be honest.
No.
It's kind of, it was like a small pieces of chicken. It's kind of like a very...
Well, I think it was more like a fishy chicken for me. I didn't love it.
Either way, it's fine. It's not bad, but it's not special, I don't think.
No.
After that, as a main meal for that one, I had sweetbreads. Now, sweetbreads are interesting. Never had those, but sweetbreads are essentially the pancreas of a lamb or calf. So it's kind of an interesting thing, interesting texture to eat. For your main meal, you had kind of Angus fillet steak.
Oh my God, it was incredible.
Yeah, very nice. And this was at a kind of hip restaurant. Yeah. It was probably one of our most expensive meals.
Oh, it was definitely our most expensive meal.
I think. And a delicious bottle of wine with that. The restaurant itself is run by a brother and sister in the city of Bonn, which is in Burgundy. And it's, like I say, well worth it. The restaurant's called La Buissonnière. So, again, worth checking out.
Very well reviewed as well.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Some simpler meals with the French accent. So like ham and cheese on baguette, and we had a great pasta for a nice price at a great little husband and wife run lunch spot called La Soupape in Avignon. Really, like the pasta was amazing with this fresh asparagus, and you had the baguette. Really, we had some lovely wine with that. And then they gave us some limoncello at the end there. They were absolutely good. I know, but like still. So that's a couple of pastas at a restaurant on the main square in Carcassonne. So there was one called Le Long Champ. That was a huge lunch that...
no, that one wasn't. But
that one.
We had a huge lunch at another place, though, entirely. That was in Bonn as well, back to Bonn, that served lamb kebab.
That's right.
And just great ham appetizers before that. And finished the meal with a fantastic cheese plate, actually, that we were able to serve ourselves and get whatever cheese we wanted to. And this place was kind of a surprise, but I think this is also run by a brother and sister.
It is, yeah.
And it's called simply Restaurant Café de France. And it's, again, in Bonn, in the Burgundy region, if you're there. Totally worth it for a very hearty lunch.
And you don't really get a choice.
They have a special today.
Yeah, a special today, so you get what they have. Yeah.
And at the end, we got tired of French food a little bit in Bonn, so finally we kind of gave in and
towards
had
our
something else
third
a little
week.
bit. So mixed it up and just we ended up having I think we found a nice little Middle Eastern place where we had nice shaved meat pitas. They were actually quite tasty. I think they made their own bread there.
Yeah, they made their own bread.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the place is called, I think it's Cafés.
EFES. Yeah.
So
it's a little takeout.
It's a nice little takeout slash.
Restaurant.
You can sit in and it's fine price, but it's nice for a little break from purely French food if you want to. We enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean.
You can see by a lot of the bills that you can find some restaurants at reasonable prices, but really tasty and authentic French food. And France is probably one of the best countries in Europe just to picnic because there's so many great cheeses and baguettes and meats. And with a nice bottle of wine, you can really do your budget good by, doing that a few days a week or even for most of your meals.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and sure check out, as I mentioned, our other video where we actually delve into the wines that we enjoyed in France and talk about each region's wine specialties. Also, be sure to click and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our other videos as we travel through France. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.